My mom Rosalie used to make the best bread pudding. She would always tell me that the secret to a gelatinous flan type bread pudding is the amount of eggs used and also the bread to custard ratio. Now if you're one of mom's friends and you've seen her make this bread pudding before using a whole dozen eggs and a loaf of bread, don't worry, it is the same recipe. I just reduced it down so we could fit it into a 9x13 pan because mom used to make a huge bread pudding.
You're watching the Bare Pantry Show.
Now we're going to start off with the eggs, and we need the whole eggs, the yolks and the whites. Let me crack these open, and I'm also going to remove these little white things that comes when you crack the eggs because mom used to do that, alright? Now let me go ahead and give this a stir, well, whisk it. We want to whisk it until it's pale. Now it's time to make the custard. So we're going to use 3 cans of evaporated milk, any brand will do. And we also need 3 cans of condensed milk. Make sure you wash the lids of your cans, alright? Because you don't know what happens to those stuff in the store. So let me pour the first can. And by the way, if you find the bread pudding to be a bit too sweet, just omit one of these cans of condensed milk, alright? But I'm going to use all 3 because I like it this way. So all 3 cans of condensed milk, and just stir it until it's all incorporated. Now let's take care of the bread. This is a whole loaf of bread, but all we're going to need are 6 slices. I know you're going to be panicked saying that the bread pudding is not going to firm up, but I promise you, this bread pudding is going to be very gel-like on the bottom and firm on the top. So 6 slices is all we need. Now mom used to break up the pieces and just soak it in the custard, but I'm not going to do that today, alright? I want to go ahead and cube the pieces because I just like it better for presentation. So we have to cut very gently through the soft white bread because you guys know the slices will not stand up if you start squeezing it. So let me go ahead and turn it the next way. And just use my bread knife to slice very gently through the whole stack. And eventually you're going to have all your little cubes. And if they're too big, just go ahead and cut them a bit more. So a couple pieces are too big, so just let me go ahead and cut. And we're gonna need lemon extract. Pay attention guys, not vanilla, lemon extract, alright? 1 teaspoon. This is mom's little secret. Now let me go ahead and give this a stir to work in the extract. Now it's smelling really good now. Let me go ahead and pour the eggs in. And I'm not gonna put cinnamon or nutmeg. I'm allergic to nutmeg. And my mom didn't used to put cinnamon in her bread pudding, but she did used to put nutmeg from time to time. So let me just go ahead and stir it. And then now it's time to add the cubed pieces of bread to the custard, alright? So gently put the pieces in. And I haven't turned on the oven yet. But I'm going to do that right now, and I'm going to set it to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, before, let me grease my baking thing before. Just some butter. And now while I wait for the oven to come up to temperature, that's when I'm going to just let the bread soak right here in the custard. Alright, because you know the pieces of bread tends to float to the top. So I want it to soak. And it's going to soak the whole time I'm allowing the oven to come up to temperature. Oh, I forgot. I wanted raisins. I don't always put raisins because I don't always have raisins on hand, but I'm going to put a handful or so. And some of them are going to drop to the bottom, but it's okay. So now let me go ahead and pour the custard into my baking dish. And it's just enough to fill this 9x13x2. Get all of it out. My oven is up to temperature already because remember the bread was soaking while that was happening. So I'm just going to go ahead and stick this in. So into the oven it goes right here on the top shelf in the middle, and I'm going to let it go for about 1 hour and 10 to about 1 hour and 20 minutes. I'm going to check it with a skewer. Yes, it's clean. Let's go ahead and get it out onto the cooling rack and then just spread some butter on the top. This is the only time we use butter in the pudding, okay? And then I'm going to allow it to cool down, and then we're going to dive in. So let me get this first big piece out. The reason that I cut it this way and leave the back behind is because I want a good picture. And then it's time to taste. This is an old video that I'm repurposing for those eagle-eyed viewers who noticed that the kitchen is different. The reason that I wanted to present this part of the video though is because this called for the full recipe at 9x13, and I only had this video on my Facebook page and not on my YouTube page. So you can find that recipe here in this book, the Belizean cookbook you need, that's available on Amazon, and it's on page 54, okay? But I wanted to let you guys know that I also put bread pudding in this book, the bread book. You might ask, why, Barbara? This is for bread. Well, after making all those breads, I wondered what I could give you guys as a bonus. And of course, if you have leftover bread, I figure you can make bread pudding. So I put it in here too. It doesn't have a number on the page because it's the extra. And it calls for half the recipe. So that's what I want to show you guys right now. Okay, we're going to make a smaller one with only 3 slices of bread this time. And less milk, less eggs, less everything. Let's take a look. I'm only going to use 3 eggs this time. Let me go ahead and get those cracked open and remove those little white things again. My mom used to call these the eyes, and she says when you leave those in and you're making sweet stuff, any kind of dessert, it gives that eggy smell that, you know, a lot of people don't like. So let's remove that. Give this a good whisk. To this, I'm going to add 1.5 cans of sweetened condensed milk, and I'm just eyeballing the half can rather than measuring. Then the full can, and then 1.5 cans of evaporated milk, and I measured out this one because I don't want it to have too much liquid. And then now the lemon extract, and then only 3 slices of bread, and I'm going to cube them again. So now it's time to go ahead and put our pieces in. The oven is coming up the temperature to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. This is 3 slices of bread, or 2.5 cups after it's cubed. So that way if you don't have sliced bread, you know how much to put. Meanwhile, let me show you something. So I wanted Joe to go get the white bread for me, and he was taking too long, so I made my own white bread. You're gonna see this in another video coming up, alright? It's time for me to put this in the oven quickly though. I'm using a greased 9x9 pan. And again, I almost forgot my raisins, but I remembered in time. I'm going to dump it in here in a second. If I didn't have the bag on the counter, I would have totally forgotten this. My kids don't like bread pudding anyway, so I can just always put raisins. Alright, so into the oven it goes. And let this go right about an hour. I'm going to give it like 5 more minutes, okay? This is how it looks at an hour and 5 minutes. So let me go ahead and put the butter on top and then give it a while for it to cool a little bit. And then we're going to come back and taste. What's wrong with him? He doesn't like bread pudding.
I do not.
More for me.
I think it's because it's mushy. I don't like mushy. Unless it's a Cinnabon, then I like that.
You guys, you can totally just mush up the bread instead of dicing it, and of course you can do the bread and butter, but that's a different pudding. Same custard, but a different pudding. So I showed how to do the full recipe earlier in the video, and then now I'm showing how to do the half recipe from 2 of my different books. But of course the full recipe is my full recipe, because my mom's full recipe, my God, it was huge. She used to take it to parties. Oh my goodness. Sadly, I can't eat any more of this because I'm lactose intolerant, so I'm going to give Joe this piece and then send the rest. We'll take the rest to the neighbor across the street, who I'm sure they're going to enjoy. They have a big family over there, like
yes.
four people living over there. So.
I'm not lactose intolerant.
But you don't like this. Well, I really wanted to redo this video because I want to have it at YouTube and at Facebook too, because I want to hook it to my Pinterest. Yeah, I have Pinterest. Child,
She's everywhere.
I'm working. Thank you, Joshua.
She's everywhere.
I'm on all platforms. either with the Bare Pantry Show or Bare Pantry Show. Look up both and you'll find me, okay? Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe,
Comment.
Thank you, Josh. Bye.
Bye.
Did you like the bread pudding?
Yes. Why do you change your clothes?
Because the shirt that I was wearing was gonna clash with the thing behind me in the thumbnail picture, so I put on white.
This is the Bare Pantry Show.